wanted to tell you a little bit about how to identify old Yellowware and new Yellowware. Specifically, the difference between Yellowware that was made before 1900 versus Yellowware that was made mid-century in the 1940s, and then Yellowware that was made more recently as a reproduction. So as you can see here, I have a variety of pieces in front of me, and it's all true Yellowware, but each piece is a little bit different. So I want to walk you through how to identify the differences. So the first thing to look for when you see a piece of Yellowware is like this lovely little picture here, which is beautiful and I love. But when I flip it over, you'll see there is a stamp on the bottom. And this stamp says Country Living. So this was likely made in partnership with Country Living magazine, because in the 90s, Yellowware was really popular. So this was issued as a reproduction. It's authentic Yellowware, but it's just more recently made. In contrast, this little bowl here is very old. This was definitely made before 1900, and it was made by hand. And the reason I know that is because if you spin it on a Lazy Susan, there's a slight wobble to it. There's just the slightest imperfection, which is how you know somebody made it by hand. Also, there's no stamp on the bottom. Finally, the lip of the bowl here, the rim, is fully glazed. So it was not put upside down in a kiln to be fired. The glaze goes over the lip of the bowl. So those are some things you can use to identify the age of Yellowware. So here's another. This is a beautiful old bowl. This is definitely early. I love the little foot on the bottom here. And like the smaller bowl, it was glazed all around the rim. And if I put it on a Lazy Susan and spin it around, you can see that there's a slight imperfection to it, which is how I know it was made by hand. So in contrast, something that was made in the mid-century, let's say 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, the rim will oftentimes be unglazed. So this is a great piece. You can see in contrast that the rim here is almost like raw and rough because the glaze doesn't go over the edges. And then there are sometimes there'll be numbers or stamps on the bottom of these as well. So my guess is this bowl was probably made, I think maybe in the 50s or 60s. I don't think this is terribly old. Same with these types of bowls. So again, you have the unglazed rim here, but also you'll see that there's like a mold here. You know, it was poured into some sort of pattern or form. So I think this bowl was made again in the 1940s. It does have a mark on the bottom, a number, and the rim is unglazed. It is authentic Yellowware because, again, you can see the clay itself is yellow. It's not just like a yellow glaze. So this is an example of something that is from like the 1940s and 1950s. And then finally, I just want to go over a couple of things that make Yellowware collectible, more collectible. See these patterns here where there's almost like a branching or a seaweed kind of pattern to it? That's known as Mokoware. So if you find Yellowware that has these patterns incorporated into it, that's considered to be very collectible. Another thing to look for are just small shapes, small little bowls, like these little custard cups. These are harder to find. Anything that's an unusual shape or an unusual purpose is very collectible. And then finally, this is a very old butter crock. It's in rough shape. There's a chip here. It does have the original lid, but again, there's a chip on the lid. I still like it. It is very early. There's a lot of, you know, like a little bit of that muddy discoloration just from age. But I think it's really pretty. I love it. Even if it's not perfect, I still love it. So things like buttercrocks or pitchers, anything that's unusual that has like a serving function other than a bowl is very collectible and is sought after. So those are some of my Yellowware tips. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you find them useful. All right.